Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine and Uzbekistan, Senior Director of the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center, John Herbst, is with us tonight. Thank you so very much for joining, sir.
My pleasure.
First question, sincerely, do you believe Donald Trump has a grudge on Zelensky? A personal one?
I don't think he does. Obviously, I don't think Trump treated Zelensky well in the White House, and Vance treated him even less well, to be polite. But Trump is on record as having said that he thought that Zelensky was very firm during Trump's impeachment, which was a time Zelensky could have been very damaging to Trump. So I don't think that there's a personal animosity.
All right, okay, well, let me just count it for you. Transfer lands under Russian authority, transfer rare earth minerals under American authority, transfer nuclear power stations under American authority again. I mean, this is not me, but what we hear from the Oval Office just recently these days. So my question is, if Canada somehow does not want to become a 51st state, maybe the offer is still standing for Ukraine. Seriously, I mean, obviously Putin wants no peace in Ukraine and Trump doesn't care what Ukraine wants. That is what I see. Am I right on this whole picture, or my vision is blurred somewhat, sir, do you think?
I think Trump wants what Trump wants, and his vision of what America requires. My view about American interests is not the same as his. I think we have a critical stake in your defeating Putin,
right,
in Putin's war of aggression. Trump, for reasons I can't explain, does not seem to understand that. But Trump is on record as saying he wants Ukraine to survive this war as an independent and sovereign state. He has said on record he would not abandon Ukraine. And the peace proposal that he has developed, he and his team have developed, would ensure that if properly implemented. And while I can understand why people are unhappy about some of the things Trump has done, I can't say I'm enthusiastic about some of those things.
right.
We have not seen him walk away from that proposal. And that proposal would, I think, I won't use the word ensure, although that word is not inappropriate, but I think would make highly likely Ukraine's emergence from this as a secure, sovereign, economically viable state. And of course, the two things Trump has put on the table for this are, one, the deployment of European troops to Ukraine, and two, the arming of Ukraine by the West, including the United States. Those two measures to ensure Moscow does not attack again after a peace deal or ceasefire is achieved.
Right. So
now, there are many details there that need to be worked out, but and that starts with the fact that Russia has rejected both of them. But we saw Witkoff, the special envoy, say, we don't agree with Russia on the arms issue, meaning the arms for Ukraine. And that's not decisive, but that's important and positive.
Right. Well, I mean, to arm Ukraine, like these patriots, like kill switch. People talk about that. Like kill switch not only exists, but to me it works. I'm not only talking about F-35s, but after Trump kill switched intelligence data to Ukraine, and many Ukrainian soldiers and civilians died because of that. The world has seen the fact that nobody in their sane mind today believes that America is a reliable partner anymore. I mean, powerful, of course. Smart, maybe, in 4 years we'll see. But reliable, maybe not.
Look, I said that I don't agree with all the things Trump has done vis-a-vis Russia's aggression in Ukraine, vis-a-vis our relations with our allies. And so the questions you raise are not illegitimate. They're not made up. They're real. And it's not just you raising these questions. There are many people in Canada, amongst our allies in Europe. And I don't think that's a good thing for the United States or for our security or for global security.
Right.
But President Trump did manage to win the majority of American votes. He's now the president. And obviously he's going to work by his worldview.
Sure. I mean,
again, I think that he does want Ukraine to emerge from this war free, independent, sovereign, economically viable, secure.
Well, it's great to hear that.
He is.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. again, given I think the pause on military intelligence and weapons didn't last long, but it was I think a serious mistake. It encouraged the aggressor. It hurt the victim. So I don't offer
So,
any justification for it. I can offer an explanation. And again, this comes back to the way Trump works. And this comes back to, I think, the mistake President Zelensky made in the Oval Office when he kept insisting. No, he was right when he was insisting on, meaning that Putin is not trustworthy and Ukraine needs security guarantees. But what Trump was hearing was Zelensky is not going to make a deal because Putin's involved. And that's what led to that unfortunate decision on pausing the aid and the intel. Again, in my judgment, a mistake. So
yeah, all right, okay.
you work with him. I think you can get the results that will not be wonderful for Ukraine, but will be adequate or okay for Ukraine. You could get a secure peace, but
Right.
obviously what Trump does not have in mind, and I don't say this happily, but it's true, is a just peace, because he's not talking about Ukraine recovering all of its territory. But he's not talking about Putin as a war criminal. And of course, Putin is a war criminal. Ukraine should get all of its territory back. But again, on the upside, Trump has said he'd like to see Ukraine get back as much of its territory as it can, and he wants to help with that. By the way, I recommend for your audience a Republican columnist for the Washington Post, Mark Thiessen, had an excellent op-ed 5 or so days ago talking about Trump's vision of peace for Ukraine. It's worth reading.
Definitely we'll look into that. The last question, Phil. I know your schedule is very tight, so the last question for tonight.
Yes.
If you would have one chance to advise to Donald Trump, and you know that he will follow your advice, what that piece of advice could have been?
Well, first, I would say thank God for that. And I say that seriously. But look, I don't think President Trump understands that Russia has declared the United States to be its number one adversary and acts as if we're its number one adversary. And therefore, for us to talk about a reset with Russia while it's continuing this war in Ukraine is a huge gift to Putin, which will work only to our disadvantage. And I would say, you want to get a quick peace in Ukraine? Up the pressure on the Kremlin, starting with sending more weapons to Ukraine right away. If Putin sees that Trump himself is now sending weapons to Ukraine, Putin's problems go up infinitely, and our problems reduce substantially, and your problems reduce substantially.
Amen to that, sir. Thank you so very much for your expertise and for your time.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Hope to talk.
I have
to
insight. I'm
have
not
a-
sure I have influence with this team.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Okay.
it's a pleasure anyway to talk to you about that. Even so, we should do it
Thank you.
again anyway. Thank you.
Happily. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.